Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel, where I talk about weapons featured in games, movies and TV series. In this video, we're going to discuss a rather unusual rifle called the G36. You'll learn why it has such an interesting shape and why it comes with two sights, as well as how a cool, innovative weapon can sometimes become the victim of scandals. Intrigued? Then be sure to leave a like and watch the video until the end. If you remember, I once made a video about the creation of the G11 rifle, which fired a caseless square cartridge. I bring that up because the G36 we're discussing today is closely tied to the G11 story. You can figure out the company that produced it from the rifle's full name, HK G36, where HK stands for Heckler & Koch and G36 is its internal model designation. It all started sometime in the 1970s when the German government seriously considered replacing the G3 rifle then in service with something newer and more advanced. The existing G3 stockpile had almost reached the end of its service life, and producing or purchasing identical rifles didn't make much sense. After all, the concept of moral obsolescence applies to firearms just as it does to graphics cards. It's like gaming for 10 years on a GTX 1050 and then in 2030 buying a brand new one of the same model. So the German government held a competition for various companies to design a new rifle. 18 years later, Heckler & Koch presented the caseless G11, but it didn't especially impress the government. The folks at HK scratched their heads and, in just 1 year, developed the new rifle under the codename HK50 or G36 according to their internal designation. Surprisingly, the rifle they developed in just a year's time won the competition, beating out 16 other models from different manufacturers. By 1995, the G36 assault rifle was adopted by the Federal Republic of Germany, and in 1999 it was adopted by the Spanish Armed Forces. Today, the G36 is also used by British police and is supplied to several other countries for law enforcement and military use. As for the German Armed Forces, in March 2015, the German federal government and the Ministry of Defense acknowledged that the G36 had significant accuracy problems and should see limited use due to overheating during prolonged firing. About 5 years ago, Germany decided to gradually retire all 167,000 of its G36 rifles. Now, let's find out exactly how this rifle operates internally and in what way it resembles American-made firearms. Unlike the company's previous designs, the G36 shares some internal similarities with the American AR-18. Specifically, it uses a gas-operated system with a gas piston. Naturally, it can fire both fully automatic and free round bursts, and the designers clearly considered both right and left-handed shooters. The charging handle can pivot to either side for convenience, and the safety is also ambidextrous. One of the most interesting design choices was to build the sighting system right into the rifle, though many people mistakenly believe there's only one sight. In fact, the G36 actually has two sights, a higher mounted red dot sight for firing at distances up to 200 meters and a lower mounted 3.5 times optical sight. That's not all. The red dot sight is designed with a special light gathering system that allows it to work without batteries in daylight, and at night you can use a battery to power it. Internally, the rifle's operating mechanism isn't drastically different from other classic rifles. The piston is cocked, a round is fed from the magazine into the chamber and secured in place, and when you pull the trigger, the firing pin strikes the primer, firing the shot. The action then automatically cocks the bolt, chambers a new round, and you're ready to shoot again. We've looked at how the G36 was developed and how it operates, but why exactly did the G36 replace the older G3 which had been in service? Let's compare their specs. The G3 weighed 4 kilograms without ammo, whereas the mostly polymer-based G36 weighs just 3.6 kilograms. The G3 was 1020 millimeters long with the stock, while the G36 is 18 millimeters shorter. I mention length for a reason, as many people know barrel length greatly affects a rifle's muzzle velocity. The G36 barrel measures 480 millimeters, whereas the G3's is 450 millimeters. so the new rifle is both shorter and lighter, yet has a longer barrel than its predecessor. They also use different cartridges. The G36 switched to the more modern 5.56 by 45 NATO round, while the G3 used the older 7.62 by 51 NATO cartridge, developed back in 1954. Naturally, the G36 has a higher rate of fire at 750 rounds per minute, compared to 600 for the G3. Its muzzle velocity is also higher, at 920 meters per second versus the older round's 800 meters per second. What surprised many, however, was the effective firing range, up to 800 meters for the G36, double the 400 meters of the G3. All in all, the German government got extremely lucky to acquire such a great rifle to replace the G3, and it's all the more remarkable that Heckler & Koch managed to develop this marvel in such a short time. The Heckler & Koch G36 is a versatile assault rifle that has been adapted into various configurations to meet diverse operational needs. Among these are the G36C, MG36, and modifications involving 100-round drum magazines. G36C Compact. The G36C is a compact variant of the standard G36 rifle, designed for scenarios requiring enhanced maneuverability such as close quarters combat. It features a short barrel and a more compact handguard, reducing its overall length and weight. Despite its reduced size, the G36C maintains the core functionalities of the G36, including its gas-operated system and compatibility with standard 5.56 by 45mm NATO ammunition. The compact design makes it ideal for special forces and law enforcement units operating in confined environments. The MG36 is a light machine gun adaptation of the G36 platform, intended to provide sustained automatic fire support. It is equipped with a heavier barrel to better manage heat during prolonged firing sessions, ensuring accuracy and reliability. The MG36 typically utilizes a 100-round drum magazine. In summary, the G36 platform's adaptability is exemplified by these variants and modifications, each tailored to specific operational requirements. The G36C offers a compact solution for close quarters engagements. The MG36 provides a light machine gun option for sustained fire support. Speaking of real-life usage, let's see what games feature the G36 and whether its in-game stats match reality. The first is, of course, PUBG, where the rifle appears as the shortened G36C variant. Essentially, this version lacks the G36's original integrated sight system, but its technical characteristics remain largely unchanged. In the game, it fires 5.56 rounds, just like in real life, and has a 30-round magazine or 40 with an extended mag. However, its muzzle velocity in the game is slightly reduced to 870 meters per second compared to the real-life 920 meters per second. It's also only found on one map. Another example is the Stalker series, where the rifle is called the GP37. Interestingly, it varies slightly across the different installments. For instance, in all three official games, the GP37 scope has only 1.5 times magnification, whereas the real G36 features 3.5 times. In Shadow of Chernobyl, the GP37 can't fire 3-round bursts, but in the other two games it can, which aligns more closely with reality. The only detail that remains consistent is the weight, 3.6 kilograms in all three games, just as in real life. What other differences between the G36 in games and in reality have you noticed? Let me know in the comments.